Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video, talk about things that are going on, a bit explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
I'm Captain Valerie Littlejohn with the Office of Media Relations. We want to update you on an officer-involved shooting that occurred on August 13th, 2022. It was at approximately 1:13 a.m. when officers were called to 722 Northeast 34th Terrace in reference to a domestic. Once on scene, officers learned a man who was a prior roommate was in the house with a gun. A juvenile and an adult female were also in the house with the armed suspect. The armed man was identified as Terrance Harris. Harris refused to come out of the house.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Shortly thereafter, a shot was fired by the suspect, and seconds later, the juvenile ran out of the house to safety unharmed. Yep.
With her. We can hear you screaming. We heard one shot.
So domestic calls are extremely dangerous for law enforcement. Historically, those have been the types of calls where law enforcement officers have been injured, seriously physically injured, and or killed. So these are pretty dangerous things for law enforcement to go to. I don't have any numbers in front of me to say this is 100% true, but I kind of feel like more officers are hurt going to fucking domestic disturbance calls than they are going to bank robbery calls and shit like that. Domestic disputes, domestic violence calls, they're dangerous as shit. You're dealing with people who are not thinking clearly at all. Their emotions are taken over, and their mind has been robbed of any and all ability to think reasonably. Almost like a person who's experiencing extreme fear, in a sense. If you've ever gone through a haunted house or someone's been in a car wreck or something like that, they were fucking so scared shitless, they weren't thinking correctly, they couldn't formulate words, they couldn't make rational decisions, they were out of their space, their head game, you had to fucking grab them, hey, come back to reality. That's, you understand that. That's kind of what happens to people in some of these domestic things. Their emotions take over big time, and they do not think clearly at all. There's been plenty of times where officers have gone to a call where a husband has beat the fucking shit out of his wife. They go to arrest that guy, and the wife attacks the police because they're arresting the dude that she's in love with. It's fucking crazy. They go to this, domestic call, and then boom, shit pops off like that. All right, so shit pops off. They start calling in more people get there, and we see people getting out with rifles. All right, so that's one of my biggest chief complaints when I do these reviews is officers responding to calls involving guns, and they don't get their rifles out. These officers have gotten their rifles out, so that's a good thing. They know that shots have been fired. There's a guy with a gun in there, and this could turn into a gunfight. What better tool to have to stop a gunfight faster than to have a rifle? All right, that's the best thing to have is a rifle. Pistols are not as good as rifles. The only reason why pistols are carried all the time is because they're comfortable and convenient to be able to carry all damn day. And because you're just not getting in gunfights every single day. Many officers go their entire career never having to shoot anybody. They might point their gun at someone, but they never have to shoot anybody. That's the overwhelming majority. So the handgun is there for emergencies. Boom, it happens right then and there. There was no expectation of bad shit happening, you're talking to this dude about their missing kid, and then bam, now they pull out a knife. Like something fucking crazy, you know, where you pull someone over for speeding, you know. It looks like grandma speeding, and then grandma pulls out a damn gun. That's what the handgun's for, is for suddenly evolving things where you just, you know, it's not like it, you know, you were expecting that to happen. And the pistols can incapacitate targets, but they just don't do as good of a job of it as rifles. So, if you know you're going to a call involving gunplay, especially gunplay, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles, because that rifle is going to stop that violent encounter a hell of a lot faster than what a pistol could. It's going to be more accurate. You can shoot longer distances with it and be more accurate, and you use less rounds to achieve the desired effect. You can fire 1 to 3 rifle rounds into a person, get incapacitation, whereas with the pistol, it may take 5 to 10 rounds to incapacitate them.
I haven't seen him. We can hear him, and he's talking to her, saying they're going to kill me, or, you know, don't let them kill you.
But he shot once.
And he shot once, and a little kicked him out.
All right. Oh, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's an active hostage.
Yep.
It's an active hostage for sure.
All right. Then we're going to breach the front door.
Yep.
So notice the can on the end of this.
Officer.
Back this up some more so I can maybe freeze frame it just right. No.
Yep.
Right there is perfect. So he's got a silencer on the end of his rifle. Silencers are one of those emerging things that you're starting to see more of. Silencers are something that Hollywood has done a huge disservice to. Hollywood has very, very largely misrepresented silencers' capabilities. And silencer is the correct legal term for it. That's what's on the paperwork. That's what's on the patent. But they don't do anything as far as silencing. Like, when you watch a movie and they're using silencers, it's like a choo, choo, choo. That fucking shit. I wish it was like that. I really wish. It's not like that at all. They're still loud. With pistols, you know, it sounds like a freaking, like, souped up paintball gun, you know, like just real, like nail guns. Like, in your neighborhood, if you ever hear, like, people doing roof work and they've got a nail gun, it's like, choop, 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 choop. Like, that sounds like silenced gunfire at a distance. Like, there's been times where I've walked outside and I can hear, you know, in the neighborhood, you hear that choo, 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 choo. And I have that brief moment of like, hey, who's shooting a silencer? But obviously, I come to quick realization, ain't nobody in my neighborhood shooting a damn silencer. It's probably someone working on a fucking roof. But they sound kind of similar to that. It's like a pneumatic kind of sound almost. With rifles and the silencer on it, really, it just sounds like a .22 being fired at it from a distance. I mean, it sounds like a gun going off. You know a gun's being fired, but it's just not as loud as it could be. The sound decibel rating is not that much when you start looking at the numbers. You see what the rifle sound signature is without a silencer, and then you put a silencer on it. Like, it's not that much of a difference. It's really not. It brings it down to what the industry says is safe levels so that you don't have to wear hearing protection with it. I still recommend that you do wear hearing protection with a silenced rifle because, like I said, it brings it down, but it doesn't bring it down that much. It just brings it down to where it doesn't hurt as much when you fire without ear pro on. Silencers are covered under the National Firearms Act, so they're treated like machine guns. You have to go through the bullshit fucking process of being fingerprinted, background check being done on you. You got to send your photograph, passport quality photograph in, pay a $200 tax stamp for that one particular item that goes to the government, and then the price of the can from whoever you're buying it from, and you gotta wait a long ass motherfucking time to be approved for this. Like, there are people who have waited almost 2 years to take possession of the silencer that they bought, and it's a bullshit process. It really is. It's fucking bullshit that you have to wait that long for something that doesn't even completely silence the damn thing. Like, it just makes it a little bit quieter. It's like a muffler in a way. Like, imagine a car that doesn't have a muffler on it. Like, you know how fucking loud and obnoxiously sounding that is. Well, put a muffler on it. It still makes noise. Like, you still hear the damn thing. It just don't hurt your ears as much. So, I wish that silencers were not an NFA item kind of thing. But unfortunately, because Hollywood makes it seem like these damn things are as quiet as a mouse fucking farting, people wanted this included in the law. Like, oh no, we can't have, these tools used by assassins, out in the community. Blah 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 blah. We got to treat them like machine guns. Stupid. Anyway, in that rant, so that's how citizens got to deal with it. They got to wait a long ass time to take possession of these. Obviously, law enforcement agencies, they don't have to go through that bullshit process. An agency can buy the damn things and start putting them into play within a day. I think that all patrol rifles should have silencers on them, because you're not going to always have the time to get hearing protection out. Just like with your pistol. Like, you're not going to walk up to a car on a traffic stop wearing hearing protection ready to shoot. You're not going to respond to a domestic wearing hearing protection ready to shoot your handgun. Like, that's just, like, no one walks around normal day to day wearing fucking ear pro. Like, you would be you'd be weird if you did. And rifles have a lot louder report than pistol. And so if you have to get this rifle out and put it into play, yeah, you need a silencer on that thing for your self-protection of your ears. You need to preserve your hearing. These loud-ass guns can cause hearing damage. And that is one of the reasons why New York police, they always seem to have their officers, after an officer-involved shooting, go to the hospital to be treated for tinnitus. I can only speculate that the reason they do that is probably a union orchestrated thing. Like, hey, anytime you're involved in a shooting, you immediately always go to the hospital for tinnitus, ringing of the ears. That way, later on down the road, if you develop some kind of hearing problem, you can go back to that incident and say, hey, this is a duty-related injury that happened to me. I was treated in a hospital for it. I have now incurred hearing loss because of this. So, and that had to have happened to some officers at some point, or else why else would they be doing that? And I think that is a good practice to do. Like, if you're ever involved in a shooting, and you're not shot, you're not stabbed, you haven't been hit, nothing like that, you should still go to the hospital for your tinnitus, because that is an injury. And repeated exposure to these loud noises can cause hearing damage, so the silencer is good for you to protect your ears, and then it's also good for people around you as well to protect their ears and prevent hearing damage on them. So that's, protecting yourself from long-term problems. The immediate problem is that shit is deafening. Like, you fire a rifle round off, your ears are going to be ringing. That can then make it difficult for you to be communicating to other people who are right there around you. So that it helps for better interpersonal communications with people right there on the scene. You can fire this thing multiple times and be able to still talk to each other without being going like, huh? What? What'd you say? I can't hear you. Teams that are, or entities that are able to communicate more effectively are ones who get to win. So if you can go pop, 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 and then talk without having to shout or have people repeat things, to you, you're going to be able to do things more efficiently and more effectively. When you go indoors, this is where silencers really pay off. If you ever shot a gun indoors, fuck, it's loud. It's like shooting in a car. Like, it's loud as shit. Your ears are definitely going to be ringing after that. So that's where the silencer really helps in that aspect too, is when you're indoors. It keeps you from, going temporarily deaf after firing a fucking rifle in a house. Also, with night vision, it helps with reducing that muzzle signature so that when you're shooting under nods, you don't have your tubes flashing out so much. Like, they're not flaring out a whole lot due to all that light being amplified. It reduces the amount of muzzle flash coming out of it quite significantly, and like I said, it prevents the tubes from flaring out on you. And in those regards too, where you're at, and if you're engaged in a gunfight with someone at night, well, it's harder for the enemy to hone in on exactly where you're at when you have a reduced muzzle signature like that. You're not having a bunch of flame coming out of the gun. So there are multiple pros to having a can on the rifle, and it's something that I think agencies should seriously look at in doing. Unfortunately, it seems to be in a lot of agencies, the silencer is kind of like the specialty thing that only the SWAT team guys have. But I certainly full-heartedly believe it should be something that the patrol guys should have on their rifles as well, to protect them long-term from hearing loss, and to protect them in the immediate fight from losing their ability to hear very well, so they can communicate more effectively with each other, and also reducing those muzzle signatures. There's so many different cans out there. A whole video could be devoted on cans, and which one's better, and which one does this, and why is it better than that, yada yada yada. You can get on YouTube and you can go look at channels. One channel that I recommend to get some pretty good reviews on that would be VSO, Curtis Hallstrom, I think it is. I know his first name's Curtis. VSO Gun Channel. So that is one channel that I recommend that you go check out if you want to find like a bunch of information on different types of silencers and what they do, what their different capabilities are, which ones are a little bit better than the other, etc. He's got some pretty good content on there, and he has a scientific background as well. So it's not like he's just some yahoo who's like just shooting random shit just to see what it does. Like, he puts science in behind it. Yeah, moving on.
We can hear him scream. I haven't seen him. We can hear him. He's talking to her, saying they're going to kill me. Don't let them kill you.
But he shot once.
And he shot once, and we'll kick him out.
All right. Well, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's an active hostage.
Yeah.
It's an active hostage.
All right. Then we're going to breach the front door?
Yes.
Officers heard the female inside screaming for help, prompting the officers to converge on the house.
Front door! Front door!
No, front door!
Officers were able to get the female out to safety.
Come to the front door!
Grab the front door! Now!
Front door!
Now! Now! Come on!
Come to the front door! Come to the front door!
During the rescue, the suspect attempted to flee from the side door, coming into contact with officers. The suspect pointed his firearm at the officers, causing the officers to discharge their firearms toward the suspect.
You hit, boss? I'm good. I don't even know if he shot, because he's right at me.
The suspect retreated back inside only to reemerge at the front door and quickly approached another officer with a gun and some type of shield in his hand, which drew gunfire from the officer.
I can't see with the
Yeah, it's coming.
I can't see his hands.
I can't see his hands either. Hands! Show me the hands! He had it in his hand. He had it in his hand.
Drop it!
He then went back inside for a short time before exiting from the back of the house. When confronted by officers at the back of the house, the suspect
In his hands either.
So you can't see very well through this glass because there's so much light being reflected off of it.
I can't see his hands.
I can't see his hands either. Hands! Show me the hands!
But he could see the guy had a gun, and the door's closed, and this officer continues to fire through that door, knowing or firmly believing that the bad guy is still behind that door. That's good. I like that. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. You know that this normal residential door is not going to stop rifle fire. It's not going to stop a fucking 5.56 from going through it. You know it's going to go through that damn door. So, why not continue to shoot through it? Just because they close the door and you can't fully 100% see them in that instant, they're not Flash Gordon. It's not like this motherfucker is right here in front of the door closing it and now the door is obstructing his view. It doesn't mean he's instantaneously fucking disappeared and is no longer there. Like, he's still behind that damn door. And so this is a great time for him to continue to fire through that door and hit the target. Now, can this tactic be used all the time? No. Certain scenarios and situations and layouts would dictate that you shouldn't do this. But in this context, the way the scene is laid out and what's transpiring, this is a perfectly acceptable tactic to shoot through that fucking door and hit the target.
He had it in his hand. He had it in his hand.
Drop it!
He then went back inside for a short time before exiting from the back of the house. When confronted by officers at the back of the house, the suspect fired his gun. 2 officers returned fire at the suspect.
On the south side of the house. He has the gun in his hand halfway out. Yeah.
Okay, do we have contain if he tries to go straight east from there?
Use your hands! He's crawling through the bushes!
He was eventually taken into custody outside. The wounded suspect was taken to an area hospital for treatment. After being treated and released from the hospital, Harris was booked into the Oklahoma County Detention Center for 2 counts of felonious pointing a firearm, kidnapping, and use of a firearm while committing a felony. No officers were injured by gunfire during this event. A total of 5 officers discharged their firearms during this standoff. The hostage was not seriously injured. All 5 officers have been placed on routine administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. The investigation is still in the early stages and will take time to complete. Officers discharged.
So yeah, fucking Taurus. So he comes out that back door. Unfortunately, just not able to see a whole lot due to their positioning. But he comes out. It looks like he kind of pushes out the exit and makes it some kind of distance. They fire. I guess he goes down within the bushes there, and then they have to get the armored vehicle to make that approach to him with the arrest team. The use of the shield. So I've complained about this before in other videos. How I don't think shields are all that 100% useful or utilized correctly or even, realistically. So when you think about who is protected by this shield, it's just the fucking dude with the shield. Like, this dude's not protected by the shield. This dude's not fully protected by the shield. Like, you see part of his arm behind it, but the rest of his torso is out behind it. This guy is probably enjoying some of the benefits of the shield. This guy, I mean, he's really just enjoying the benefit of this dude right in front of him to soak up rounds. But really, the only person who's fully 100% protected, and not even that, because, you know, below the bottom of the shield is his legs. So as far as the only person who's enjoying full protection of their head, face, and upper torso is the dude with the shield. A lot of times, this is what you see. A bunch of people hanging off to the left in kind of a wing formation, and they're totally exposed. What fucking sense does that make? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So, I think shields have a place, but it's kind of a small place. It's kind of a small niche. And in scenarios like this, I just think they're kind of useless, honestly. I mean, I think it'd be better served without the damn thing. Of course, they use this armored vehicle to get a little bit closer, probably to get better eyes on the guy before anyone ever on foot ever approach. So that's a good tactic. That's something that some agencies have the ability to do because they have that resource. They've got an armored vehicle that allows them to do that. Unfortunately, other agencies do not. There's things that they realistically could be doing if they don't have a purposely built vehicle like this. Like, they could do some Mad Max up armoring kind of shit, like take a vehicle that isn't really needed for patrol anymore, it's being phased out or something like that, and either they can do it in-house or they can enlist the help of some other people, other entities, and just add steel plate to it. Change out the windshield, you know, like pay the money to have like actual armored windshield installed in it. Put steel panels inside the doors and stuff like that. Up armor the cab of the vehicle. Like, I don't think you necessarily have to have the engine compartment armored or anything like that. Like, maybe the firewall, steel plating in that. But as far as like trying to put armor around the engine and keep the battery box protected and all that, like, who gives a shit about that? Just the cab of the vehicle with the people in it, like, that could be up armored, and that would allow them to be able to do the same thing like what they're doing here with this vehicle. Get close enough where you're in a protected box and be able to look and see shit, and if something happens, you're in a protected box and you can just take off in that protected box and get off the X and drive away. That's a safer alternative. Another alternative that some agencies are able to utilize is a drone. Drones are an emerging technology within law enforcement, and if they have the means to be able to utilize it, I think sending a drone in to see exactly where someone is at is, not all the time, but in some cases can be the best option available, because it can go right into the hot zone, and if that dude's like waiting in ambush or something like that, you're going to be able to see that. And if he decides to shoot at the drone, then oh well, who gives a shit? It's just a drone. It's not a person. But that would give you that tactical advantage to know exactly where they're at, and then the fact that they were waiting in ambush for someone to come around a corner or something like that. People going in on foot, yeah, like if you're stacked up in a line or something like that, maybe, you know, 2 or 3 people to the front all holding shields and everyone being kind of behind that, that could be a better tactic when you kind of put those shields together. Just having one shield like this, like I said, I don't see the point in just one shield being utilized like this, because you've got so many people to the side who are completely uncovered from the damn thing. I'll go back to the side view. Well,
During the rescue, the
Come on! Open the front door! Now! Now!
and there's also, before I go to the side of the house, there's a lot of people hanging out at the front door here. So doorways are known as fatal funnels. They're generally not places where you want to hang out at. They're all crowded at this fatal funnel here, as bottleneck, so to speak. all this bad dude has to do is just aim towards that doorway and start popping off rounds. He doesn't even have to aim specifically at one of them. All he has to do is aim, fire multiple times, and get like a shotgun effect. One of those rounds is going to hit one of them. May not be anywhere critical, but one of them is going to hit one of them. And he may die in that process, very most likely, but he's still able to fire a bunch of rounds in one direction and at least get a hit on something, or multiple people at that point. So I don't like the whole hanging out in the doorway thing. It's either you're fucking moving in and you're dominating that space, or you're getting away from that door and you're taking cover. So yeah. Now the pistol here, this looks like some type of like a cage tag. Looks like something for the agency. They put like a what's the fucking thing's called? Not RFD, QFR code, QRF code. I forgot the damn name of the things. The things that like you can bring up your camera app on your phone and you can scan a QR code. Is it QR code? Yeah. It looks like a QR code on top of the gun. This is something that some places do for inventory control. So this is just basically a way to say this is item number 00555 and it's going to be issued out to officer such and such. So they can scan it and put it into the system, and it goes out to this person. And whenever they turn the damn thing back in, or they get a new job and they got to turn it back in. The agency buys new guns and they turn this back in. They get fired, they turn it back in. Whatever. It gets scanned and they identify which piece of equipment it is, and it moves it in the system. So that's the first time I've seen on a police pistol in a video having that on there. Typically you see these cage codes on like military rifles. They'll be on the magazine well of like an M4 or something. It looks like a little rectangular shaped sticker, and at one corner you've got that QR code that could be scanned. So I wouldn't be surprised if the rifles probably have QR codes on them as well, if this pistol's going to have it on there. Typically with the newer tasers, you would see like the little QR code on the top where the serial number thing would be.
Come on!
Come to the front door. Come to the front door.
During the rescue, the suspect attempted to flee from the side door, coming into contact with.
So you see him pop out there just a little bit. We don't get to see
officers.
very well
The suspect
from that side view.
Pointed his firearm at the officers, causing the.
Ugh. Okay. So right here, let me back it up and you see it again.
Into contact with officers. The suspect pointed his firearm
So we got multiple people here, right?
at the officers.
And then this guy, like, what the fuck's he pointing his rifle at? Like, he don't have a clear shot to the bad guy. Where is he pointing this rifle at? Damn it, he's pointing at the back of his good guys. So, yeah, muzzle discipline is something that needs to always be highly conscious of. Now, he does bring the rifle down, but shit, like, all these good guys right to the front of him, there's no way he has a clear shot to the bad guy. So, this muzzle should have never come up the way it did. It should have been pointed completely down or up so that it was not pointed at good guys.
Causing the officers to discharge their firearms toward the suspect.
Also, another thing to think about, when you are behind other people and you turn on bright-ass lights, you are then silhouetting those people and making them easier targets for whoever could be aiming at them. So you have to be careful with how you use light. If you've got good guys in front of you, you do not want to turn on your light and have it directed to their backs, because then that can make it a whole lot easier for the bad guys to see them. They might not be able to make out a whole lot of great detail of those people. They might just see basically like a black silhouette outline, but you're providing enough light and contrast for them to set their sights on that little black blob silhouette put sights on it, and then press trigger. So if you're ever to someone's rear, do not backlight them. Do not silhouette them with white light. Keep your light turned off. Now, they're up here at the front, and they got this big-ass porch light up here. So, multiple people here. Again, like I said, I don't think that hanging out in the front door area or in a door area is the greatest thing to do. But there's multiple people here. One person, I think what they should have done was just basically use the muzzle of their rifle and just smack the fuck out of that damn porch light and break it. Knock that son of a bitch out. That way, they don't have a big-ass or bright-ass light source right there in front of them, making them a more easily identifiable target to the bad guy inside. Alright, so they engage in the side here. People back away from it.
You hit, boss? I'm good. I don't even know if he shot. He's going right at me.
I'll back this up again. So, take note of...
Officers.
Oops, back it up even more. So, take note of the scene here. Trash cans are right here. The white stone kind of design is here, and the red brick is right over here. So you see the little dude.
The suspect attempted to flee from the side door, coming into
pop out.
Contact with officers. The suspect pointed his firearm at the officers, causing the officers to discharge their firearms toward the suspect.
Okay, so now you can't really see. I don't know like where they're exactly at over here, but on the right screen, you now see the reverse of this image, so to speak. You see brick here, white stone here, and trash cans there. So that makes me think that there's a potential for crossfire going on. Like you can't see very well. You kind of see right over here. It looks like maybe flashlights coming from this direction over here. But it's very quick.
You hit, boss? I'm good. I don't even know if he shot. He's going right at me.
The suspect retreated back inside, only to reemerge at the front door and quickly approached.
And like I said, because it's it's quick, it's low light, it's hard to see very well, but it almost makes me think that in the very beginning of that, like I said, based off right here, kind of where they're at. Here's the front of the place, right? Blues to you, greens on the other side. Now we got blue on this side, green on the other side. So there were people on the other side over here. Where did they go exactly? I don't know. It's hard to see anything going on. But I think at some point there was a potential for crossfire going on here. So that's something you got to think about. Setting up perimeter and everything. You got to think about your fields of fire. And if, there's a door or windows on this side, someone emerges from here, how are you going to be covering this sector right here? So where these guys are at, they're basically using part of this corner of the house as cover. I think that's probably a better place for them to be standing versus be standing here at this corner, because they're, if there's people on the other corner back there, and in the middle of this wall is a door, and they come out, well, each side starts shooting. Where's the bullets going? They're going towards each other, right? So in this environment, way it's laid out, this is probably the safest position to be in, where they've got the corner right there to aim around, aim into the windows and the doors, and then if someone wanted to be on this corner back here, that could work as well. But then you've got to think about what's on the far other side of the house. This person, if he's aiming this away and is also covering part of the back of the house, if he starts shooting towards the back of the house, the back door, and the person on the far left over here at the other house is covering that same area, well, then you run in the same issue as someone right here on the blue side of the trash can and someone over there on the green side of the trash can. Their bullets are going to be coming towards each other. So you got to think about positioning in your fields of fire and reducing chances of friendly fire, because friendly fire is not friendly at all. You might not always be able to get that great four-corner post-up with everything. You may have to have more of a two-corner post-up where one person at this corner is covering both of these sectors, or you have two people here. One's looking down this lane right here, and the other person is looking down this lane right here. And then that way you don't have any good guys downrange of them. And that may require a good guy maybe having to be further away from this corner, but still kind of watching this corner, but be far enough away so that you minimize any chances of crossfire. And again, that's going back into an argument of why it's better to always bring rifles on things like this, because if you're having to stand off from the target to help minimize any chances of crossfire, well, if all you got is a pistol and you've got standoff distance there, you're not having the greatest accuracy with that pistol. It's best to have a rifle to make those longer shots.
You hit, boss? I'm good. I don't even know if you shot.
I do like how multiple people have long guns here. Got a rifle. This dude's got a shotgun. Now, I don't know if this is a lethal shotgun because it looks like a red stock is on it. Typically, shotguns that have the colored stocks and the pumps are designated as less than lethal devices. So this guy with the shotgun, it might be a less lethal shotgun that only has beanbags in it. Which at this point, it's kind of a pointless fucking tool to be holding around when there's a guy who's shot rounds and this is now a real deal gunfight. Like, why the fuck are you going to be holding a beanbag gun in a gunfight? Like, sling that damn thing, cross your back, and get your pistol out.
You hit, boss? I'm good. I don't even know if you shot. He's looking right at me.
The suspect retreated back inside only to reemerge at the front door and quickly approached another officer with a gun and some type of shield in his hand, which drew gunfire from the...
So, I'm not in this, you get into debates about optics and stuff like that. I'm not the biggest fan of like these scopes on the rifles. I'm a kind of a more firm believer that a holographic sight is the best sight to be having on a patrol rifle. If you need magnification, you can get one of the like EOTech magnifiers to slap up into position and give you that capability of having magnified glass. Having just a purely dedicated magnifying optic on there, I think is a bit of a detriment, unless that rifle is going to be fully committed to marksmanship type of role rifle, like a designated marksman rifle or something like that.
The officer.
I can't see with this.
Yes.
Cord management. So this looks like cordage coming from potentially the weapon light going to a pad or something like that. Ideally, it is best to have those cables managed in a way that they're not sticking up and can be easily snagged on something. Because that would fucking suck to have your weapon, your rifle light cable snag on something and then rip out the back of the fucking flashlight or the pressure pad, and now that takes away your ability to very easily activate that light. Now, ideally, it should be on the back of that light. You have the ability to activate that light by a push button. But if you don't have that backup ability to activate the light and the push pad or the remote pad is the only way to do it, and you fuck that cable up, well, you're up creek without a paddle. You're going to have to resort to your emergency light source, and that's not always the most optimal way of doing things. Like, the most optimal way of doing things is having a dedicated weapon mounted light. It just makes shit way easier. When you start having to pull out a flashlight and work with the gun on that, you're taking away good, solid secondary hand support on that weapon, and you're making it less accurate. So, always got to manage the cables for your electronics on the rifle, whether it be a flashlight or a laser. Zip tie those things down. Zip tie it down around the carrying handle there, or the forearm, foregrip little, secure it down to that with zip ties, or even using duct tape if you have to. There's actually some, like for like Picatinny and stuff, and even the key mod or whatever, there's like these little attachments you can get that have like little grooves in them, so you can actually stick the cable cord down into that groove and have it routed in a certain way, and it kind of retains it down in there. So those are kind of some cool products, but the quick and easy, simple way to do it is just use little zip ties to tie those cables down and keep them from snagging on stuff. What's on the deck right here? This looks like a rifle magazine, potentially. I'm not sure where that has come from. Let's back it up some more. This could have been from... let's go forward. So obviously we don't see nothing there right now. We're at time frame 140.
Front door! Front door!
Front door!
Officers were able to get the female out to safety.
Open the front door!
Open the front door! Now! 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 Come on!
Open the front door! Open the front door!
During the rescue, the suspect attempted to arm at the officers, causing the officers to discharge their firearms toward the suspect.
Alright, so we don't see anything there at this point.
You hit off? I'm good. I don't need to help you shot because he's going right at me.
The suspect retreated back inside, only to reemerge at the front door and quickly approached another
So now we see what looks like a magazine on the ground.
officer with a gun and some type of shield in his hand.
Not sure where that came from. That could have fallen out of someone's pouch, potentially. This officer here just appears to have a normal patrol uniform on. Doesn't appear to have like an extra plate or plate carrier on top of it that has rifle mags in it. Can't tell if they have a extra rifle mag on them or anything like that. But it looks like potentially someone has dropped a rifle mag. So that could have either A, fallen out of someone's pouch, or B, what is a kind of a maybe more likely scenario is it was in someone's rifle but was not fully seated all the way. And that's actually happened a lot. People will go insert that magazine into the rifle, and because they have that magazine fully loaded out with rounds, they don't get it to seat properly, and it just kind of hangs in there for a little bit, and it stays in there with just enough friction where it doesn't free fall. And then if you smack the rifle hard enough or jostle it hard enough, that magazine falls out. Usually you'll see it when they go to fire that rifle, that fucking magazine go flying out the bottom and hits the deck. So not sure which is going on.
And which drew gunfire from the officer.
I can't see with the
Yeah, it's coming.
I can't see his hands.
I can't see his hands either. Hands! Show me your hands! He had it in his hand.
Drop it!
He then went back inside for a short time before exiting from the back of the house. When confronted by officers at the back,
Yeah, it's possible that it could have been the guy with the camera turned on right here. It's kind of hard to see if there's anything on the side of that magazine, but at the very beginning, we do see right here he has some type of marking on the magazine. It looks like a paint pen of some sort. Looks like it's like number 4 or something like that. And then we go to the other slide here that shows it. Again, it's very difficult to even try to make anything out, but it doesn't look like there's anything written within that spot.
Approached another officer with a gun and some type of shield in his hand, which drew gunfire from the officer.
I can't see with the.
Yeah, it's coming.
I can't see his hands.
I can't see his hands either. Hands! Show me your hands! He had it in his hand. He had it in his hand.
Drop it!
So yeah, the lighting and everything, there could be something written in that little spot. We just can't see it from this angle due to the lighting. Or there's nothing there, and the reason why there's nothing there is because that's not the magazine that was in there that we could see earlier. So somehow a magazine has ended up on the ground.
Confronted at the detention firearm while committing a felony, injured. All 5. The investigation is still in the early stages and will take time to complete.
All right, so that's
Discharged.
pretty much it for this video. There's really not a whole lot else to say for this. Yep, I'll end it there. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.